and how that works. Okay, here we go. All right, so who here has any idea what attraction marketing is? Anybody? Okay, kind of, a little bit. Okay, so I wrote down just the actual definition and then we'll kind of like go into it. So attraction marketing is a term for a method of marketing a product or a service. So it works by just providing valuable information about the item before convincing your customers to buy. So it's a really powerful marketing strategy for, I mean, both lead generation and what I think is most important is brand loyalty. So I want you guys to think about this for a second. Have you guys ever come across, you know, a post on Facebook or on Instagram, say like from your favorite celebrity or like an Instagram influencer, or even just like a friend that you look up to, explaining how they use a certain service or product? So you guys know what I'm talking about. I like do it too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that girl and I trust her. And she said she loves that product, so I want to use it too. So, you know, whoever it is, like they posted a photo and, you know, they have a caption on there explaining whatever it is. You know, these presets, let's say, for example, that they made that make their photos better, you know, their product. So that's just an example. Regardless of the situation, you guys can probably recall a recent time in which your attention was drawn to a product because someone that you respect has, you know, had high praises about it. You know, and that person has explained that the product makes their life better or easier. And now, you know, they can't live without it. So why should you live with, oh my gosh, you guys see my mom's puppy. So why should you live without it, right? So this form of marketing is called attraction marketing. So we're going to talk about that a little deeper tonight and how you want to do it for your own brand. So ultimately, instead of marketing messages taking the angle of this is why you need this, attraction marketing is going to be taking the angle of this is why I need this. And it's a technique that gives you guys, you know, gives your brand a knowledgeable reputation. And so for us, you know, when we're talking about things like Young Living, like I need these products, I can't live without these products, that also extends to Young Living, right? Because we represent Young Living as brand partners. So kind of think about it from that perspective. So when we're talking about attraction marketing, it's going to help set your personal brand apart, or even Young Living as well, because people trust you. So it's going to set your brand and yourself as a brand apart from competitors by focusing those type of marketing efforts on what makes your product or kind of the service that you provide as a brand partner the more attractive option, basically. So I was trying to think of a really good example that was a little bit outside of Young Living to give you guys like a better idea. So I thought of Home Depot. You know how on the weekends they do like those DIY workshops or like the little kid workshops. Have you guys ever sent your kids to those or like gone yourself? So basically they have these workshops on the weekends where they do like DIY kind of stuff and they let you use all of their equipment. They offer like free advice and, you know, basically they're offering this free value to potential customers without forcing them to purchase a single thing. I mean, it's genius. So they have those classes. What it does is it's building loyalty. It's building trust. People don't feel like they have to buy anything. They're not feeling uncomfortable. And so because they're doing that and they're building that trust and that loyalty, you know, that's going to be building, it makes their products and just their services way more attractive to their audience. And it's, you know, when you think, okay, I need a miter saw or, you know, table saw, whatever it is, like I'm going to go to Home Depot because I had a really good experience. And I like, that's what I need. I need that now because now I can go build like a whole cabinet, like after this one DIY workshop, right? We all get that kind of confidence. So ultimately, you guys, it's about offering content that is accessible and valuable to the customer. And you want it to pique their interest in your product or the type of service that you are providing with your product. And it helps build your reputation. So, you know, this is also just really great for things like lead generation. If you guys have seen in the past, a lot of people on our team have done things like succulent classes at breweries and whatnot. So, you know, you're not asking them to buy a single thing. You're providing them with an experience. And, you know, that is great for lead generation. But it's attraction marketing happening right there. And you might not even realize it, but that's the whole point. So, because it's a good method for lead generation, you're sharing accessibility, educational content, and you're converting those possible leads early on in their buyer's journey. So that by the time they make a decision, a purchase decision, your brand, your personal brand, and its content will already be in that person's mind. And if you're doing a good job with that, they're going to be like, well, I obviously want no oils besides Young Living's. That's clear. And I don't want to sign up with anyone but her. So it's very important the way that we're working attraction marketing versus being like, you should buy this because this will be good for you. No, I have such a compelling story that you connect so much with that now you need it. Like, and I didn't even say that. I never once said that. And I've always said with Young Living, I'm like, I've never sold a kit in my life. Like, I've never asked anybody to buy a kit. I've never reached out to anyone to help me reach a goal. I've never asked anyone to buy anything. You just sit there and you share your story and people come to you. So you guys are probably like, well, how do I implement this? That sounds great, but like, tell me what to do. So I think the biggest thing that you guys want to do when it comes to attraction marketing is share your story. I know we say that. Puppy is so cute over here. I know we say that all the time, but it is really a technique that you can use to emotionally connect with someone and a potential customer, a current customer, and provide them answers to, questions before they even ask. And I think that is something to really think about. If you are being consistent with the type of education that you're doing, showing up every single day, whether it's in person or online, wherever you are educating, if you're doing that every day, you're going to answer a lot of people's questions before they're even asking. So the other big part of implementing attraction marketing, some helpful features, I guess, and, defining that reusability of your product. So let's dive into that part a little deeper. Sorry, you guys, little puppy is so distracting. So the biggest thing that I want you guys to take note of when you're starting kind of like, I guess the best way to put it is an attraction marketing campaign. So when I plan content, I plan what I'm going to talk about every week for the most part. Like, I like to have a theme, and then, obviously like how I'm using things day in and day out pops in, but overall, like, I like to have kind of a theme so that, you can say it's like your campaign for the week. And, the biggest part of that is to share your story. So you want to be able to connect with customers on a level that only comes through when they know the story of your brand. When you tell your story, you're ensuring your marketing campaign doesn't just feel like a blatant advertisement, you guys. That is like the last thing that you want to do, is just come across super salesy. You want to make sure that your story is coming through and that emotional connection is connecting. So that brings me to the first point. Number one, build an emotional connection. So how does someone tell their story with attraction marketing? So you're going to be using, keywords and phrases that's going to help you build an emotional connection and with potential customers. And then instead of communicating that your product, quote, really works, share how using the product actually empowers you, makes your life easier, things like that. I see so many people, like, not just in this like Young Living space, but other type of network marketing campaigns. Reagan, stop. In this space that are like, you guys, it really works. You need it. I'm like, why? Why do I need it? Like, tell me like, why do I need that? Like, no, tell me more about how it empowers you. And then I'm just going to naturally need that. I don't know if you guys ever like have FOMO about things, but I do. Even like health things. I'm like, that works for her. I resonate with that. Now I need that. You think about it on like the most basic level of kind of like our human connection, and it's actually really easy when you think about it like that. I think we naturally overcomplicate stuff like this because we all want to be so successful in it, but it really just comes down to just that basic human connection. So second point is name that product, whatever it is. Ashley talked about hero products last week and helpful features. So take what you guys learned last week. We're going to bring it into this week. So when you're building that message, mention that product by name, connect that product benefit to a part of your life that it helps you solve. So for example, I have an autoimmune disease called Graves' disease. I have an overactive thyroid. It causes a lot of brain fog when it's, flaring up, and joint pain. So things like Thyromin, Omega Gies, those are huge hero products for me, but they also help solve a huge area of my life. And it's emotional, because when those things are flaring up and I don't have those products, I'm not as good of a mom. I'm not as good as a wife. I'm not as good at Young Living, like it does matter. It's personal. So you guys don't be afraid to get on that level of showing how it helps solve a part of your life, because that's what people care about. People don't care about, I don't even know, you guys. People don't care about like the surface level things, is I guess what I mean. I don't know how you guys are. I don't want to be surface level with people. If I have the opportunity to know you and like be with you in person and like sit down and have a conversation, even if it's online, like I want to know like all the things about you, and like really connect with you on those things. So I think that all of us crave that. Even people that are a little more introverted, people crave that kind of connection. So think about that and how you can give that to other people through your story, and then how you can slowly pull that out of people with their stories. So number 3, I want you guys to emphasize the future value. So, finally, it's a good idea to mention how using the product that you guys are, whatever that product is for you, is just a really positive experience that you have fit into your lifestyle. So, like I was talking about with those products that I have that are really hero products for me, what that looked like for me is that by having those products and getting toxins out of my home and bettering my diet and getting on a more regular exercise routine, I don't have to be on medication. So obviously, like, it's a whole part of your story. It can't just, I started using this product and I don't have to take medication. Like, you obviously compliantly, you have to tell your story compliantly, but, looking at the future of all of that. And a lot of times I look at a lot of these things that I'm using for my kids' future. And I talk about that, like, why do I have an autoimmune disease? On the outside, I'm like a pretty healthy, like, human being. I shouldn't get an autoimmune disease, but all of this exposure over time, like, it matters. And I don't want that for my kids. So, thinking long-term on those things as well. Okay. Is everyone still following? We're still good? Okay. So, other things that you guys can think about is, let's see. Sorry, my notes got a little jumbled here. Okay, so basically using this kind of formula, you guys, is going to help you build attraction marketing messages that will matter for your customers or your potential customers, your prospects. It will show how your brand, you are your brand, you guys. And you also are a face of Young Living, but you are your brand. People don't buy companies, they buy people. They're signing up with people. They're not just signing up with Young Living. Otherwise they would, go into that pool because they had no one to sign up with. So just keep that in the forefront of your mind always, that you are your brand. So basically doing these things with attraction marketing, they're going to show how your brand is customer obsessed. I say, like, we're obsessed with keeping our customers happy and making sure that they're having a good customer experience and making sure that they're having a good community. But it also just shows that there are humans behind that product, who enjoy it just as much as the audience that you're sharing it to. So those are just some tips to start with, you guys. So let's talk about a few other tips. Okay, first of all, who feels like after hearing some of this stuff, they have, dipped their toe into attraction marketing and maybe didn't even realize it? Feel free to unmute yourself. I would love to hear someone share. I know one of you guys has a story to tell. No one? Okay, we can keep going, you guys. Tracy?
Yeah, I was going to wait to see if anybody else was going to contribute, but it's one of those things where I am very familiar with attraction marketing. I did marketing in my former career before I came to Young Living, but it's this thing that I feel like is so relatable and understandable for someone who maybe doesn't have the marketing background in a nutshell, it's like your story. And I love what Jenn was saying, that it's your brand, right? They don't necessarily buy Young Living because they know about Young Living. There's a lot of different oils and different products out there, but there's something about your story that really resonates with people. And I just feel like that was so wise from Jenn to hear. But I will tell you, it'll often be even nonverbal things like crazy town. I'll be in line putting something on like a roller, you know, like in line, and just out of curiosity, people will go, well, what are you doing? What is that? Right? Like that is attraction marketing. It's not like this, oh, you know, like I'm being super obvious, like, I'm not like that. It's more just like, oh my gosh, my neck is bothering me. And I'm just like putting on the roller, right? Not my Sharpie, but just putting it on, and someone will just ask, right? Or if I'm with my girlfriend, we're hanging out, maybe we're getting a pedicure, having a glass of wine, and she's just like, what is going on with your face? It is like glowing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am using this CBD beauty boost. You have to try it. The thing is that you're probably already doing attraction marketing, but likely you've been doing it for other brands, right? Like my girlfriend and I, it'll be like, what yoga pants are you wearing? Because your booty looks good. I want to wear those too. Tell me what you're using. You've probably been doing attraction marketing for years without even realizing you're doing it, but you've been doing it for other brands. And you can continue to do that, right? Like because you just happen to love, you know, for me, gluten-free snack or yoga pants, right? Or a hairbrush. But I am super intentional now about making sure that because Young Living is my business, I'm using attraction marketing, right? For rollers, for my supplements, for my makeup. But I'm telling you, you're probably already doing it and you never realized you were doing it. So I think just getting out there, and I love both social media and in person. I just think relating to people because they pay attention to what you're doing is so key. So I'll mute now, but can't wait to hear what anybody else has to have as far as an example.
I just had something happen today that I didn't realize. So I'm a teacher, so I just went back for work today, first day back for teachers. And my coworker who I haven't seen in like 3 months came up to me and she goes, oh my gosh, your hair looks so good. It looks like it's grown so much. Because before I left, my hair was super short and it was really unhealthy. And I was like, I changed my shampoo and conditioner to not have any like really bad things in it. And I've been taking a supplement called Sulfurzyme like twice daily. And she asked me what it was and I told her about it. And she was like, oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. Like I might want to try it. So yeah.
That's awesome. See, it's like happening and you don't even really realize it. This dog. But you guys, just imagine if you are intentional about that, obviously not fake, but you're being intentional about it. Imagine how many more opportunities pop up than that. You know what I mean? The other thing that I wanted to make sure that you guys kind of knew about is, so we're talking about sharing your story and building that emotional connection. But the other thing that I want to make sure that you guys write down is you want to mention facts about your product. You know, when you're telling this story, typically what I will do, and I started doing this mainly because it's just kind of the way that my audience kind of went down with things. So I would share a product I love, and then like later that day, I would start getting a bunch of questions about it. Like, where can I buy it? More questions about like specifically what it does or like how it helps, or basically just asking like the facts, you know? And so now I just am in just the mindset of, okay, I'm going to share something usage wise. And then later I'll get on and give more specifics because I will have questions about it. And then maybe the next day I will share like, okay, well, this is how you can buy it, you know, with either in my DMs, or if I'm getting a lot of messages, then I'll share it online in my stories and whatnot. But it is important to note that even though that you guys are telling your story, you know, that whole narrative of it, you do need to keep that information factual. Obviously, like your truth is your truth, but when you're talking about the actual product, you need to make sure that it's factual. So if you're using some type of like statistics or, Ningxia is a good example. They say like, this is the same amount of antioxidants as taking this many blueberries or this many strawberries, whatever it is. Like, don't embellish on that kind of stuff. Like, keep it factual. Because like that is, you're building trust with that too. Because the reality is if you get a very green personality that's like, I'm going to go look that up, I'm going to go research that. If you embellished, that your trust goes right out the window. Okay. So while you're telling your story and the parts of your story are your story, when we are talking about the facts and the statistics and things like that, you want to make sure that you are, one, being compliant with that, but two, just being honest. Don't try and stretch something. Like, I know that a lot of people still try and stretch or use like past income disclosure statements because they look higher. People can go look up on the website what the income disclosures are. And I mean, it's like any business, like it, ebbs and flows through the years. So that's just an example of making sure that you are being honest, because you want to build trust with your prospects and with your current members, and keep the trust of those existing members that you have. So in my opinion, I just think that transparency is key. So that, I mean, there are going to be people that will fact check you out there. It's just the world we live in. So make sure that your story and your facts kind of, go together. So I just really think that attraction marketing, just in my own experience, has been very helpful. I think it's just much more natural than being like, okay, you guys, I'm using this today. Oh, and by the way, we have a Zoom call tonight if you want to come. Like, no, like, just get into the habit of every day sharing your story, sharing why it's so important that you need it in your life every day. And then people will be able to decide if that matters for them. I try, I mean, sometimes I say it, but I try for the most part to avoid being like, you need this, or if that's something that resonates with you, then you should try this, because I don't ever want it to come across, one, salesy, but two, like I'm giving medical advice. But the third thing is that I've just noticed through my own trial and error that this works better. It just does. It attracts people to you. They trust you. You're pulling them into your life. You're allowing them to walk in your story with you. And that's important. So I kind of want you guys to just think about that. So does anyone have any questions about attraction marketing? Does it make sense before we move into label reading, which is kind of a part of the attraction marketing? No questions? Okay. If you guys think of any, you can put them in there. So I wanted to talk about label reading tonight as well, because I think it is so important. You guys are all on here because you are doing the business or wanting to do the business, or maybe starting to reboot your business, whatever it is. And just so you know, it doesn't matter, you guys, if you have been out for a while or if you have been doing this every single day, like, it matters that you're here, and that's amazing. So just know that. But label reading, I feel like, is very important. I think that understanding chemicals is important. Not, you guys, you don't have to know every chemical. It's impossible to know every chemical or to know it off the top of your head. But I think when we're doing this business, a lot of people get into the habit of share. And so it's like you're providing this solution for people over and over and over and over, but you're never telling what the problem is. Who wants to buy something that's just a solution? I'm like, I don't even know what the problem is. What's wrong with my Dove soap? Right? Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, when I used to watch, I didn't watch Chelsea's stories religiously, but when they would pop up on my stories, I signed up with Chelsea Gray, if you guys didn't know. I would be like, what is she talking about? Like, I use that Aussie purple, like, bottle shampoo all the time. Like, what is she, like, why is she using that one? This one's fine. But it's important to talk about why things are bad. Present people with the problem so that it opens their eyes. Okay. Because I mean, think about yourself. Have you always cared about chemicals, or is it something newer for you? Is there a specific things that opened your eyes? Because honestly, I feel like if there was more people on the internet talking about chemicals and what was in our everyday products, I would be like, holy moly, I would have jumped on the Young Living bandwagon way faster because I didn't know that. I didn't even know when I signed up. I was just like, I don't want a candle with hot wax to fall on my daughter's head. So let's get a diffuser. But had I known that stuff, I would have been a member years prior. Like I just didn't know. So I think it's really important that we get in the habit of educating people on what the problem is. And the problem is that our government lets a lot of crappy chemicals into our products. And that really sucks. And we're very lucky that we have Young Living as a company to look out for us in those things. So you guys, this is some homework for you this week. I want you guys to educate yourself on 5 chemicals. So you can look them up online, look up like the 10 most common chemicals found in, I don't know, household products, personal care products, whatever it is. Educate yourself on 5 of them and get it in your head of, okay, these are the kind of products that fragrance is in. This is the kind of products that SLS is in, formaldehyde, whatever the 5 are that you want, so that you just get in the habit of learning more of them so that you can help better educate people. So the label reading that I've been doing for the last several months on my Instagram is, let's say this is water, but let's just say that this is a hand soap. Let's say it's whatever, a blue hand soap from the grocery store. I take a picture of the back of it, go home. I usually I batch pictures. I have like hundreds of them. And then I'll just go through and do a label reading. So I'll circle it, put a line. This is the kind of stuff, why it's bad for you. And I'm not like always being super nitpicky about every single thing. I'm just picking out the worst offenders so that people are educated, because I think that an educated consumer is the best consumer. I don't care if they buy Young Living, but I think that it's important for them to know what the problem is so that they can make better choices, because I wish I had that. So that's just kind of part of the attraction marketing. I've had a lot of people sign up saying like that really opened my eyes, and it took probably months for me to really sit on that and think about it. But then I started looking at my products and I was like, what? I didn't even know. So like people are coming and saying that kind of stuff, and it feels good. It feels good knowing that you empowered them, even if it took them months to make that switch. Like all of us are on a different timeline. So do something that is attracting the people in your life to make better choices through your story and the things that you are sharing. And obviously you don't have to do label reading. You don't have to do, I know that Ivy is doing kind of like low waste kind of things. So like not using plastic bags and, stuff like that. Whatever it is that, what are you guys doing? Makes sense for your life. Sorry, our house is a complete circus right now. Whatever it is that makes sense for your life, you guys, lean into that. The chemicals is like a really big thing for me. It really opened my eyes once I had kids, and I was like, I didn't know any of this. So it's always been something that's very important to me. And I was like, I'm just going to start sharing this. So whatever it is for you, think about that and lean into it of how you can help educate people on what the actual problem is, because every single day you're showing up and sharing your story. So then when you do have those days where you're sharing the problem, they're going to be so much more receptive to hearing your story and hearing that solution. And then they're going to figure that out for themselves. You don't have to ask them to buy. You don't have to ask them to sign up. You don't have to, whatever it is, fill in the blank. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay. Who has questions? Yes, Luann, the documentary Stink was very eye-opening. So if you guys have not watched that yet, then you need to.
When you do the label reading, will you be clear about what brand it is you're talking about, or will you make it kind of ambiguous?
Sorry, can you say that again?
When you do the label reading, will you be really clear about like what brand you're kind of shaming, or will you do we have to be ambiguous about that?
I mean, I just show them, because I'm not saying like, I'm not showing this one and then showing a Young Living one. I'm just doing it completely unbiased.
Like, hey, this is what's in this.
Yeah, like just so you know, this is what's in it. And like some things I'll even be like, this isn't that bad. Like this is an okay option, like a okay store-bought option. So, I mean, I don't know what the rules on that are. Tracy could probably give more, but I'm not like saying this versus this. I'm just saying this soap right here. These are the chemicals that are in it that you want to avoid because X, Y, and Z. So it's focusing more on the chemicals versus Dawn dish soap or Mrs. Meyer's or whatever it is. It's specifically pulling out the chemicals.
Okay, I like that.
So everyone's different, but I don't know. That's just what I do.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that too, Ashley.
Just going to add, I love that. And I think on social media, you can kind of get away with things a little bit, especially like in a story, because it's going down right after 24 hours. And I think if you're showing, right, and you're like, look, see, and you're going like this versus like you're physically typing out like the brand is blah, blah, blah. Or like if you did it in a blog post or a video that's public and lives forever. So I think just kind of, I think very common sense, right? If it's in a story, probably not a big deal because it's going down anyway. But if it's going to be something in a public space of some sort, I would use more discretion. Young Living policy is, they don't want you to be like, don't use Clorox, right? Use these wipes instead. They want you to avoid doing that. But I think if you're just showing like a label, right, and go, this is a popular brand of bleach wipes. I'm not mentioning the brand, right? But they can kind of tell just by looking at the label. This is what's in it. This is why I want to avoid it. And this is what I use instead. So I hope that helps.
And the other thing, you guys, is when I do that, I mean, I have a certain amount of followers, so I can people can swipe up to articles, but I always link the scientific studies that go along with that stuff. So perhaps if you're going to do something similar, you could create some type of like link tree where people can access that stuff, because it's really saying, okay, this PEG 14 chemical, this is bad. This is why. This is where you can get more information on that chemical. So I think that if you do something like that for attraction marketing kind of purposes, I think you also need to make sure that you're backing it up. You're not just like throwing stuff out there and hoping it sticks. You're actually backing it up with science and studies and, peer reviewed studies, things like that. And not just someone's blog post, So yeah, it's totally whatever you think. Do you need a paid link tree to link those things? No, I think they have a free version of Linktree. There's also Campsite. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that you can mostly do them for free unless you want to like personalize the color or something. Then I think you have to pay. I use Campsite and it's free, so I don't do anything special with it. Okay, you guys, I don't know if this is gonna like end in 2 minutes or not. So I just wanted you guys to have some homework for the week. I say homework, but really just, I want you guys to plan your week after this. So I want you guys to think of your big 3 things for the week that you want to focus on for your business. So I'm going to Gold Retreat tomorrow. So my big 3 will look a little bit different. But I just wanted to tell you guys how I'm doing this so that you can think about how to plan your week. So I'm obviously going to be sharing on social media because I think that's really great for our community and for my team and for them to get excited to work towards those kind of goals and get that experience for themselves. I think it's incredibly important to be sharing that. I'm also going, while I'm there, I'm going to be reaching out to the people that have shown that they have fallen off to subscribe to save. It's going to be an item for me every single day. So if you want to just focus on something like that one day out of the week, that's fine, or you can spread it out. So I want you guys to think of the big 3 that you're going to do this week, the things that are non-negotiable. And yeah, I think it's just a better way of doing your business and doing your day where you don't feel like a failure if you didn't get everything on your to-do list done. Just have those big 3 so that you feel accomplished and proud of yourself at the end of the week, at the end of the day. Incredibly motivating for me to be like, yes, I did those things, like at least those 3 things. That's all I had. So, okay, you guys, I feel like this is going to kick us off at any moment. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have questions, you can always message me. We can chat further about it. I'm happy to give you guys feedback on your stories or your posts or whatever it is. I hope this was helpful.